This week on the Droids, we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett. Coming December 29th, we finally get our first look at the series, the trailer for the Book of Boba Fett. We're going to break it down, and there's a poster too. So much to talk about. The Droids are in person. All of this and more on the Droids. Welcome back to the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. Alongside Chris, Ryan, and Sam, I am Mike, and here we are for the first time in nearly 2 years in the same place to record a podcast.
I'm sorry.
The noises and echoing.
We have
at the
two
bar.
mics. I'm using one to do my ASMR channel that I started.
That's why you're always making those sounds while we do it remotely.
Sorry, just go on, Mike. I'll record this throughout, and you got it.
Okay, all right, cool.
I'll separate the audio tracks out.
Can we make money off of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to my OnlyFans where I do ASMR in the nude.
That sounds like something that could, if it was Star Wars themed, it might do
It could yield
It might do
some
well.
fiscal benefits.
That'll do it.
You know what? It's been quite some time since we've been together. We've been
The
together
last-
in a non-official Star Wars podcast way for the Droids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here we are. And I think
The last time we were together, I said, was we started a pandemic accident.
Yeah.
It was, I believe, March 8th,
Yeah.
2020.
when we were recording in Wuhan.
When we took a trip out.
Yeah.
No, it was truly right before the pandemic. We did not start. We should also say, as always, that we are all fully vaccinated, lest we would not be in person together.
Correct.
Some of us have had double the doses.
Yes. Triple.
So some of us have had double doses, some of us have triple doses. Chris may have had even more than
Who
triple
knows?
the doses.
Who knows? At this point, I don't want to say a
Chris
felony
went
on
into
the air.
CVS and said, "Give me the works."
It's sort of like a Bacta tank, right? You've been in a Bacta tank this entire
I got
time?
my med packs full. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said to Chris, "What do you do for?" He ripped up his vaccine card. They said, "You can't do that," and he said, "I just did."
They said, "Sir, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?"
Well, it's been a long time coming, but it's the return of old Sam. Sam is back with us and in person. Wonderful to have you here, Sam.
Wow.
Sam, what have you been doing in this Star Wars pandemic?
Well, I've missed you all, and it's good to see you again, children.
Sorry, Sam's working on his reel, and
I've been doing very little Star Warsing. Most of my day is filled up with little Ewok care and work. Look, I get a lot of my droid content through you guys on the text chain that we have going. You've generously kept me in the fold, kept me looped in.
Right.
I watched 2 of those episodes of Visions.
Hey,
Yeah,
Really
there
liked
you go.
that.
There you go.
That was
yeah,
terrific.
it should be said, Sam entered the quarantine without a baby.
Uh-huh.
And you dirty dog, you left the quarantine with the baby.
Founder.
Yeah.
Foundling.
The stork made a visit.
It's been really, really good. What else? I'm excited to watch Dune. Haven't seen that yet.
Very
That's
good.
Star Wars
Saw
adjacent.
that.
Playing Metroid Dread. That's spacey.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lots of sci-fi
Yeah.
out there.
Speaking of Dune, though, it is very relevant because not only was George Lucas inspired by Dune, by the novel,
Yeah.
the visuals and the actual costuming of this movie version of Dune clearly were inspired by
It
Star
just-
Wars.
I believe
it all
yeah.
comes circles in
It's gonna
very
keep going.
It's a weird
Yes.
circle because
Yes.
something that originally inspired content is then inspiring the next thing.
Yeah.
I will find
The
something.
snake is eating its tail.
I'm gonna show you guys a picture, and then we'll
If it's
post
Charlie
it.
bit my finger, I've seen it.
Oh yeah. Pull that up.
But Frank Herbert, who's the author of Dune, wrote a short story first. Prior to that, or maybe after, he was writing short stories. And there's published art that is very clearly that's a Wookiee. Like that is Chewbacca
wow, so it's
on
like-
the cover,
right.
as one of the
I didn't
creatures
think
he
it was
created.
interesting.
So there's definitely a lot of cross pollination.
No spoilers for Dune, but it's like when they're like, use the way. I'm like, oh, okay. Where'd you get that idea, George?
It does put up a pretty interesting question. If Dune had been made as a feature right before Star Wars, because when did the Dune come out? The one that was
I believe it was
David Lynch?
82.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
David
let's-
Lynch made it instead
80.
of Return of the Jedi.
So exactly. So if say Dune came out first, was made by David Lynch, and was maybe a little bit more crowd pleasing in some ways,
Sure.
could it have had the influence on the culture that Star Wars has had?
Based on the movie Dune that David Lynch made, I'm going to go ahead and say no.
No.
I think it's also that Dune only came out because Star Wars came out.
Fair.
So I think it's
Well, so
it already
if
the cycle
somehow
already
there was
st-
an
yeah, yeah,
alternate
it's-
reality
yes, where
it
Dune
was
came
made,
out.
and maybe it was made
Yeah.
by George. Like,
Oh.
Yeah,
say that it had
there's this
that
book I
larger
really
appeal.
like, and I was thinking maybe we could use the voice. I don't know.
I mean, it all takes place on a sand planet.
Yeah, there's the similarities are there.
Yeah.
And then when did Kevin
Same.
Bacon and Tremors come out? Was Tremors a little bit after that? I think it was mid.
Tremors was just a little bit after
just a
that.
little bit
yeah.
after
And
that.
It begs the question: if Tremors had come out before Star Wars, would we be
Would
doing a
Tremors-
Tremors
We'd be
podcast?
all
You're doing
throwing
the Tremors
dynamite
part.
in the desert.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to talk about with the Book of Boba Fett. There's, of course, our final 5 chapters, Light of the Jedi,
Yeah.
coming right up.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
close
cover
out
that.
with that. We're gonna close out.
We
with
just
that.
we just ate a lot of pizza, so don't be surprised if you hear a lot of like.
Yeah,
Sam
right.
just blew wind in my face. The first time I felt another person's
Yeah.
breath on my face in the last 2 years.
We're all vaccinated.
Are we shutting it down?
That's it. It's over.
Yeah,
Get out of
All right.
here.
Oh boy.
We're outta here.
Yep.
Of course, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, DroidsPod, Droids Podcast. We know where this is going. The Fallen Order playthrough on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's actually what Sam's been doing.
Yes.
He's been taking notes on your Fallen Order playthrough so that when he actually has time to play
Yeah,
the game,
when you got to do
he
this?
will go and play it with
I
all
also-
the knowledge of your playthrough.
I also said, since we're all in my apartment, that after this, I'm going to make you guys watch me do a full playthrough.
If you guys
Just
go to
complete playback.
fallenorder.droids.blogspot.io,
Oh,
you
great.
can
Now
you
we
can
can find
find
that.
You can find my annotated bibliography of all of Ryan's moves. It's been
All of his button
it's been
moves.
thrilling to go through. I can't find this picture. Don't hold me to it. So
forgot
so
what it
listeners,
was.
take
It's-
that with you.
What is
the
it?
listeners
Just
aren't going to be
imagine
able to
I
see
still
it.
don't know
Yeah.
what you were looking for.
He bites his finger and he says, "Charlie, bit my finger." That's it. It's fine. It's funny though.
Yeah,
I
it
get
hurts and it's still
Yeah.
hurting. Yeah.
So, the Book of Boba Fett trailer. We are November 1 was when it came out,
Yep.
and that is just under 2 months before the premiere of the show.
Right.
We've talked about how we literally know nothing about this show until now, and I
Yeah.
would say after the trailer we still know basically nothing.
Maybe
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
It really it is. The things that I took away for it was that Boba Fett probably is going to be made into being the good guy.
It seems.
Yeah, it feels like it has to be.
Or
It
he's-
also seems like Tamora Morrison puts the helmet on, and then John Wayne's grandson
Where
is in the
around.
suit.
I think, yeah, exactly. He looks oddly like the Mandalorian. I think what we're gonna see is he's gonna be the anti-hero, but like has a moral code that's always he's not gonna kill. He's not a bounty hunter anymore, right? That's
So
what
what
he
you're
said.
saying is he's Disney Plus. Safe.
He's Disney Plus Fett. Yeah. He's-
I mean, look, we all
Thank
reacted
you for
when
the message from our sponsors.
Go on Twitter @DroidsPod and let us know what you think Ryan's drinking, and
Yeah.
whoever gets beverage and brand
Yeah.
correct will get
no, they get the
yeah.
R2D2 Lego we've been trying to give away.
There
for
you
months.
go.
That's how you get the
Right.
There you
get
go.
the full
Oh, that's
R2D2
good.
Lego.
I like that a lot.
$150 value, not available anywhere else, I don't think.
Guys,
First
so
time I
rarely
said.
do I have soda, okay? I'm treating
or
myself.
anything.
That's really good. I like this
that
game.
limits it.
So
Unlimited guesses also.
Look, if you send in a guess,
Yeah.
you're getting the R2.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
So,
But-
but he's Fat Plus.
When we all watched the first, episode 8 of season 2 of Mandalorian, when
Yeah.
Boba Fett appears, we talked about the level of like, all right, we're just gonna have him gratuitously beat the shit out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like what a lot of the fans were clamoring for.
Yep.
Right.
Obviously, we'll still see some of that violence in this series.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of was torn by it. I'm like, okay, so now he's going to be the good guy who's trying to set things right, or as you said, the begrudging, respectable
Yeah.
person in the
Yeah,
underworld.
it seemed like a lot of I have something that's mutually beneficial for both of us,
Yeah.
kind
Right.
of thing. And
But if we cooperate, we'll
Yeah,
make even
right.
more money.
But the fact that he comes from the Mandalorian, like now we know the family history of like the Mandalorians and like how maybe he's trying to like bring his family back together, right? Because then we piece that all together that he is actually Mandalorian.
I think he said he isn't though. His father,
I think I
Yeah,
think
'cause-
there was something
because
that,
Django
Oh.
stole the armor.
Oh, right.
but then I think they made them. Wasn't there something about? I know. I thought I was
Yeah.
with Chris that it
Yeah.
was like they were maybe made like honorary, like
Oh, that
yes,
was it.
that's
Yeah.
it. So maybe
like they were
he's gonna
accepted
try to like
into
bring
the-
the tribe back.
whatever
the
tribe
Shane
plan.
code that they
Yes,
had. That was
exactly.
in
So
my
maybe
father's
his
name.
ultimate crime goal. So it might be not always legal means how to do it, but his ultimate goal might be it's family. So he might be trying. He might be trying to bring
And
back.
this is where we find
But-
out that Boba Fett is the long lost third cousin of Shmi Skywalker.
Exactly.
So we can get all the way back to the Skywalker.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
And
right.
Didn't
Yeah,
we think
Boba
this,
Palpatine.
that feels to me like it's actually though like Katie Sackhoff's storyline,
Sure.
right? Like
Yes.
Bo-Katan's,
Oh, yeah.
like who I think is going to be a character that we're going to see more. I
Sure.
think probably in the Mandalorian,
Yes.
not necessarily this Book of Boba Fett series. And I think that that's going to be that's her storyline
Sure.
as I think I see it. Obviously, I don't know anything, but like that feels like she's the heir apparent who should be restoring Mandalore, bringing the
Yeah.
family back together.
Yeah, I could see that.
So here's the thing that I don't know how to feel about this show or how to get excited about this show. I think there's a big thing happened post Rise of Skywalker for me, which is just like we had something new and like branching off and building off of the original series with the sequel duology. And then we had a film that came back and like swung the other direction and seemed to be like high on, references and fan service. And that's kind of what also happened then in season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Right.
And I can't gauge like what people want. I know that if classic characters don't show up, they're like disappointed that it's not connected enough.
Right.
And I know that if classic characters do show up, there's fans who complain about them not being honored properly, and so I'm like, how's this show gonna hit? Like, why is this the show?
Yeah,
Well,
because there's a piece of it that's like, why are you doing the Book of Boba Fett if old characters aren't showing up? Because it's like you could have done the Book of
Din
whomever.
Djarin.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
is what we had going.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing where obviously it's going to be also like Robert Rodriguez is making it. You know that it's like kind of his swing at kind of being like, I'm going to tell all the Star Wars stories that I wanted to with my action figures, and that's
Yeah.
like fair. But at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
cool. Like, I mean, I saw the trailer. The trailer's cool. Like, I'm excited for the show. It's not like a Boba Fett show is not like something that I needed to happen, especially like in this iteration. Like when Josh Trank was going to make his Boba Fett movie.
Yeah.
It sounded a little more interesting because it wasn't literally like old
Was it
Boba
Mangold?
Fett.
What was both?
Was it a transcript?
I'm like, that sounded like a Boba Fett.
Yeah, it
movie.
was kind of
I'll be
a-
very excited.
Right,
about this.
because
You're
at least
coming
it's
off
like
of
a
Logan. It's
Yeah.
like-
It's also like I imagined it was supposed to be a Boba Fett movie that like wasn't about old Boba Fett.
No, I
Like-
think the
Well,
rumor
you know,
was
here's
it
the
was him
interest-
chasing Obi-Wan in the desert. Was the
Right.
rumor
The
that it was.
interesting thing is if you look at
So
Logan,
older.
it's
Yeah.
kind of a Western. And if you look at the Wolverine, it takes place in Japan. There's a lot of like samurai, sort of film reference. So
What you're
just
saying is a
feels
lot
like-
of Star Wars is ode to Wolverine and.
I think that if you look at what Hugh Jackman's filmography led to, we could clearly see,
Yeah, we can see
where
where it was-
Star
where
Wars
it
is
was going.
influenced.
I see.
Yeah, what I'm saying
Sam
is
has a
if
bunch of
Logan had come out in
strings and pins on the wall.
1976,
Yes.
before Star Wars,
Yeah.
would we be having a
But
Logan podcast?
It did, 'cause
Logan.
There's no other form of time travel except for one VHS or DVD can go back in time, and it was Logan. And George Lucas was the only one who had it.
Yeah.
And
And he
that's how
said,
made
"Wow,
Star
like
Wars.
sci-fi and a western."
Logan.
Wow.
Um,
He said, "Maybe I can make this like oppressively sad, like where like the claws really have nothing to do with it."
that's just
I have not rewatched that movie
Yeah.
in theaters. I bought
Yeah,
it
who
immediately.
would?
I bought it immediately because I was like, that was such a visceral thing, and then I was like, too sad.
It's a
Can't do it.
really good movie that often it truly is a very good movie, very emotionally resonant. That you're truly like, is this what we needed?
It's a bummer.
That's why we just watched Ford versus Ferrari. We're like, okay, this.
Yeah, I want
this
to watch
gives
Matt
me the
Damon
feels.
hit Christian Bale with a baguette.
Give me the Vroomies!
Yeah,
Give me the
exactly.
Vroomies!
The Vroomies.
Chris, you got some hot boba takes? Some hot and fresh?
I wonder. So they in the trailer they say like,
Spill the boba tea.
there it is.
Oh.
Tapioca
You know
fat.
that's how have that a little fried tip. Yep. They they in the trailer they mention. They say the underworld of Star Wars. I feel like they've been trying, like they had these 45 or whatever scripts for Star Wars Underworld,
Yeah.
that are fully fleshed out and made, but George Lucas always said we never had the money to make them, or the technology, which was probably code
Which is
for
probably
money.
neither of those
Yeah.
things is true, because
Yeah.
that's the one man
Yeah.
who had both the money and the
So now
technology.
they have this thing called the volume, which can just you can make anything out of anything, and then kids on YouTube can make all the sets for them. Apparently, because anyone can make a set on this thing, and so I wonder.
Anyone, even you,
even you,
out there
listeners.
listening right now.
So I wonder now. every episode he's walking over glass. So I wonder now if they're borrowing from those scripts through all these series. Like, is the Andor series going to have some of those elements? Is this going to have some of those elements? I wonder how much influence, because they always say like George Lucas on some of these Wikipedia pages and IMDb and Cosmic Book News, they list him as a writer. So,
Sure.
So they know something.
Yeah,
It makes you wonder if we're getting like all of the scripts from Star Wars Underworld just in like really
yes,
much less interesting locations that we've seen already.
exactly.
Where it's like instead of being like the underworld of Coruscant that we hadn't explored yet, it's just like Tatooine again.
yeah, exactly, which is already its own underworld. We see.
Does this entire show take place on Tatooine, you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
I mean,
Yeah, because I don't think he has a ship anymore. Oh wait, he does have a
He
ship.
does have a ship. Because
He-
Mandalorian was one of us.
Right. I don't know why I thought that. I kind
Makes you
of.
wonder, how big is that ship? Because it kind of changes how big it is
Yes, it
sometimes.
does.
Yeah.
and also
I think it's bigger on the inside. I think there's a Doctor Who thing
There's a
going
Doctor
on.
Who thing going on.
It's a Whovian.
A
Whovian cruiser.
But I wonder, I just wonder where they're drawing the inspiration from, and then the fact that it's coming out so soon probably means it's all in one location. Too.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
But I will say, I think in the trailer,
Technically, all of them are in one location now. It's just in the volume.
Well, it's in the
Yeah,
volume. I heard that
exactly.
they got mixed up, and a few scenes from Book of Boba Fett take place in Gotham City.
That's what I'm telling you.
But I think the volume has always been kind of very clear. Like to me, I'm like, oh, that looks like it was shot in the volume.
Yeah.
This trailer, most of the stuff, there were a couple scenes where I'm like, oh, that in the background, that probably is just the volume, but it looks pretty good.
It's looking
Looked like
good.
it was
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
sure
I think
they're-
they're
At the
getting
beginning,
better.
it was a lot of like they
Yeah.
were on like an embankment of rocks, and
Yeah,
then like
and then
behind
it's
them
the
was
box.
a sunset. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to get better, and they're figuring out ways
Yeah.
to make it even more seamless, which is exciting to see. From the community,
I'm so glad that Jon Favreau invented the.
Oh, he really is the greatest innovator we've ever known. But the addition of the Jabba's former crew in that scene made me think that this is going to be a lot of. I still think we'll have flashbacks. I think there's going to be Boba is dealing with his new role of leading this former contingent of Jabba's people, and within it we're going to see old Boba Fett stories that help inform, kind of like a Lost,
Sure.
a little flashback.
Yeah,
I'd be into
I
that.
could
This
see
is
that.
how he helps
I
learn
could
about
see-
what he's doing. I think
I could see. It's not gonna be like Family Guy style flashbacks.
No, not like 3
remember
seconds
when
of
we had
one
to dress
joke.
up like bosom buddies?
He's
It's
no
like-
good to be dead.
It's gonna be
No, but
like-
I think it would make
Yeah.
a lot of sense that he might remember being a young bounty hunter
Sure.
in Jabba's midst, and here's this other
yeah.
crime boss that now he knows how to manipulate
He's-
because he was around during the time of Jabba.
He's gonna remember that.
Wonder if we'll have
time-
like a flashback to like little Boba Fett walking in on Jango Fett and Mrs. Fett.
But there isn't a Mrs. Fett. He's a clone.
Okay, Jango Fett,
I wonder-
Jango Fett.
I wonder if he's gonna
You know
have.
what I mean?
I wonder if he's gonna have a flashback, and then they're gonna do like a re-edition of his flashback where he talks. It's
Well,
like-
would they
Well, now I'm just
Or
de-age?
thinking
the
about the
special,
clone
a special
thing.
edition
Special,
flashback. Yeah,
special.
specialized
Would they
flashback.
would
yeah.
they de-age Tamara Morrison?
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking flashbacks, are we gonna, or would we just not see under the armor?
Or who's the kid? Who
Do they get
played-
the kid with that cool hair?
The kid who was in the
Kid had great hair.
Attack of the Clones.
I believe that the series though is also hiding something. There's some. Every one of these shows has had kind of like a little
They've
set
gotta have
piece.
a reveal.
There's a
That Luke's in
reveal.
it.
Yes.
I think Paul Dano's going to show up. We haven't seen him yet in the trailer. Even Paul Dano's probably in this, right?
Colin Farrell is unrecognizable in the trailer.
Matt Smith's
Did
in it. They're all in
Matt
it.
Smith is the spider.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think there's something that this is going to kind of tie together. Maybe it's the Obi-Wan series. Maybe it's something else. I don't know.
I hope it doesn't connect to that because I still have my hopes.
Backwards, yeah.
I still have my hopes that the Obi-Wan series will be similar to how. Okay, so Visions has been the first thing I think in like the I'll call it, I guess, the Disney Plus era, or even somewhat the Disney era, that's felt like really different.
Sure.
I guess like Last Jedi to me felt very different, but it was so connected that it did feel like a continuation story. Visions to me was like, wow, this looks and feels different. Maybe Resistance, but again, that one I never grabbed me. Visions, I was like, this is cool. This feels like new, different Star Wars. I hope that with the talent they have on board for Obi-Wan, we get a little taste of that. I hope, honest to God, I hope that the Obi-Wan series does what the prequels did the first time around and kind of like throws us for a loop and makes us go, does this feel like Star Wars?
Right.
I don't know. And then we come to love it. New. But maybe it won't go that far, but I hope it's not like, I hope it's just not part of, because if they all start getting connected on the Disney Plus series, it's going to make them all feel so small to me.
I agree.
I have a feeling that Book of Boba Fett is going to be one season.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett was, Robert Rodriguez was doing his episode, and you know what? I could do 8 more of these. And they're going to have...
He came in like probably 10 times under budget.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they're going to do...
And what does it show?
It's these a week episode.
8 standalone missions.
Yeah.
You know, they'll maybe connect because they're just all in the same place. But it's just going to be like, here's some fun stories, and then they'll move on. I wouldn't put it past them to connect Obi-Wan in some way to Andor, to connect it back to Mandalorian Season 3, and to connect it into the overall series. I do think Book of Boba Fett, though, would be, if they connected, it would be like one character pops up in another series, which is what they're going to pull that Marvel move.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to make that one, because this one just, it seems kind of like an afterthought. It seems like they were making the Mandalorian like, you know what? We could just mine this for a little bit more. And
sure.
But that's,
you know what? Somebody said, I can't believe it, but Tamura's schedule's wide open.
Hey,
Aquaman 2 doesn't shoot for another 3 years.
But I feel like, but I feel like there's just one little, there's a nugget in there that's going to do something.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Robert Rodriguez, more of like, historically a film career. Who are the ringers he's going to bring in cast-wise? Are we going to see Banderas? Are we going to see Mickey Rourke?
Trejo's going to be in there.
Danny Trejo's definitely. Danny Trejo was in the Haunted Mansion Muppet special. He's definitely in this.
Yeah,
You know why?
Trejo. I
Because
think
he was
Elijah
already on
Wood's
set.
going to show up.
I was going to say Wood.
I think Elijah Wood's going to show up. Probably as a voice.
I don't know. Elijah Wood is in some hot water at these moments.
A droid.
Oh, is he?
Because of the NFT?
Yeah.
Right. But I think that seemed like an honest mistake on his part.
Yeah, he didn't seem to do anything.
But also they probably recorded the voice already.
Yeah, he's probably
no, but I'm
or
like,
something.
there's.
Are we going to see Hardnet?
There's a stable of actors that he's worked with multiple times. There's, I have not kept up with what like El Rey Network. I'm sure there's like a ton of talent there that I'm just not aware of. But it's like I'd love to see. That's cool. That would be something for me to get excited about. To see a stable of actors that like historically like wouldn't get within 30 yards of Star Wars.
I
suddenly
can't
brought
wait
in.
to see Quentin Tarantino play a bounty hunter.
That's awesome. I like that. I'm into
Will
this.
Quentin guest direct?
Yeah.
Will he guest direct an episode
Yeah,
like he did with CSI? Like he did with the CSI Buried Alive episode?
And ER.
He did?
And
He guest directed a CSI?
and
The one where Nikki's buried underground.
I don't even know who those characters are, but alright.
Well, I mean, if you don't know, now you know.
Chris, I think you're right, though. You think this is a Baby Yoda scenario. They're not showing us something
there's
like Baby
something
Yoda.
they're hiding. They're
God,
they're pulling
Yoda.
a fast one on us. And also, there's supposed to be a special, right? Coming up in a few weeks, too.
Oh, the special is probably going to be like, here's the history of Boba Fett.
And you
Have
know his
forgot
weapon
about
was
Boba Fett?
first featured in an animated short during the holiday special.
No.
Yeah, it's true. Look it up.
Did you know,
Charlie
I saw this
Goodman,
today,
yeah.
Pablo Hidalgo on Twitter was talking about how Luke actually knew Boba Fett before Empire Strikes Back, but they cut it all out. He's in a couple of comic strips with him, had some interactions, and there's actually a scene where he says, about Boba Fett, but they cut it all out.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Like, was he afraid of him, or was it like they were friends?
Afraid of him.
It was Wedge.
He's like notorious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's on Tatooine, probably, with Jabba,
All right, prediction right now. How do we
Small
think we're going to
planets.
feel at the end of this series after it's run its first 8-10 episodes? Give me your 1-sentence summary how you think you're going to feel about it.
I'm glad we have it. I'll probably think that.
Great.
I think
one word, one sentence.
I think I will probably when we record immediately after either an episode or all the episodes have aired, I think I'll be like, this was great. This is so much better than I thought. I had, and largely I think that's both a mix of two things, which is one, this one I do have very low expectations for going in. I'm not as excited as I am for Ahsoka. I'm not as excited as I am for Obi-Wan. And then the other thing is that the Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, they are a machine for like dopamine hits, and it works on me. So inevitably, if you talk to me right after I see something, excluding Episode 9, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be amped on it, and so I think long term, I think this is gonna settle in the lower middle for me. I'm just guessing because why would I care about this story? Overall,
Mike.
I'll probably be like, that was completely unnecessary. I had fun.
That's good.
Or you'll say,
are you going to say,
Saga saved.
Make Boba 2 happen?
I will say.
Make Boba 2 happen.
Or
he'll say, Saga saved.
The other thing I could think of would be that my expectations, even Bad Batch, I was like, why are we going back here? Why are we visiting these Clone War battle things? And then that ended up being one of the coolest things ever. So,
who's writing this?
That's a good question. George
I
Lucas.
think probably Robert Rodriguez's nephew or something.
Well, I'm sure he's got a writing credit on it. I think he's written everything he's done, hasn't he?
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
When he's not writing, when his kids aren't writing the scripts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that a serious thing?
Yeah, his kids wrote Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's neat.
It's cool.
But they're definitely going to be in it.
A kid $40 million. No, they'll be again. No, it's cool.
Yeah.
I imagine that it's probably him and Favreau or something. And Filoni probably had some kind of...
Yeah.
And George.
Consulting.
And Herbert.
And George, of course. Yeah. And Frank Herbert for the inspiration.
Well, Ludwig Göransson is back. He's going to be doing the actual music for this as well.
Oh, wow.
I feel like they've just locked him in at Disney. Is he doing anything else besides Disney properties at this point?
Why would he? I'm sure he's doing something, but, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he'll be back for it as well.
But there's guys, garbage trucks outside. We're recording in New York City, baby.
And that's
It's live.
Carillion freighter.
That's part of
we're currently on day 3 of the Galactic Star Cruiser.
That's the little secret.
Sam's been kidnapped.
That's the secret we wanted to say.
Did any of you try to book it for me as a nice special surprise?
Well, Mike,
we
now
tried,
that you
Mike. We
mentioned
couldn't get anything. I'm so sorry. We tried really hard.
We were all
I
at
was
5
online.
a.m.
Yep, I was online for hours.
Couldn't get anything.
Days.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, Mike.
What are we talking about?
Well, for
Who's
those
Mike?
of you, Galactic Star Cruiser is available now for reservations. Though they probably have sold out for everyone who spent $6,000 for a 2-night stay.
Yeah.
And
But hey,
I
And
was
if you
expecting
did,
a Christmas present.
If you got it, whoopity-doo. Actually, Mike, here's the thing: is that people were buying tickets, but we honestly thought that we'd be given tickets because we've been covering Star Wars for so
exactly.
yeah,
long.
well, of course.
But now that
we deserve it.
Since we were not
we
given
belong.
tickets, we will not be
My
covering
name is
Galactic
Peter Soretta, and I deserve this.
We will not be covering
We do
our
actually
coverage or Collider's coverage of Galactic Star Cruiser. And you know what? People think that I'm butthurt, and you know what I say? I'm a lot butthurt. I'm a lot butthurt about it. So yeah, Mike, they didn't give us free tickets. We're bummed about it, considering that we've done so much kind of goodwill for Star Wars. Obviously,
I mean, I think
You
they
can look at
owe
the
us a
receipts.
lot of fan base.
Ambassadors for the brand.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We do have a mutual friend that did book tickets. I'll
We
say their name after there, but maybe we can get them on the podcast.
yeah.
Wait,
And
someone's going before me?
Mike,
Do I know this person?
you may.
Do I know where I steal the tickets from?
Yes, I'll give you their address. But maybe we can get her on the podcast and we could see get the reactions.
Do you think anyone listening got that Christian Harloff bit?
No.
Did you guys even get it?
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, YouTube Christian Harloff meltdown. Star Wars, everybody.
Wasn't that Peter Serretta who did it too, though?
No, it's Kristen Harloff.
I'm
sure Serretta
Then I
also.
apologize, Peter Serretta.
No,
I know you're listening to the
Making
pod.
enemies on the pod.
Serretta was also kind of butthurt about the whole thing.
It's the chairs they sit in.
The butthurt is what the butthurt thing I did. If you watch the thing, is like an exact quote.
I've heard all that.
That an
I thought it
adult
was like-
person who gets paid to do
I
this.
watched
We don't. By the way,
we covered it on the pod. We talked about it.
By the way, droid heads, we're not making a dime off of this.
Yeah, they're not.
Never
They keep offering,
Yeah,
Never have, and we never will.
and we never will.
exactly.
They keep offering. People keep saying, "Hey, why don't we give you some money?" We say, "No, Disney." No, Kathy. Put your checkbook away. We do this for the love of the game.
But I'm telling you, listen, folks.
Once you accept
these guys,
money, you can't have an honest opinion.
I'm saying, listen, folks. These guys, they're not making any money off of it. These three people here, they don't make a dime off of this thing. So don't worry.
I'll tell you where all my money's coming from.
This is great.
Well,
That's the mic stand.
Should we talk about the actual trailer?
haven't we?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, there's
the
aliens
spider
in
at
it.
the beginning.
Yeah, there's aliens in it. It's cool. They got those dudes with the curvy heads, the dudes with the lizard
Transgender
heads.
in it. They got.
Do you think the spider
They've
was
got some
stop
Bosch.
motion?
Is it Bosch? That's Bosch.
It's Bosch, yeah.
I don't know.
Titus Welliver's back.
Titus Welliver's Bosch.
I think that spider actually was CG.
You think it was CGI?
It felt like the motion was just a little too
It looked a little odd though. I thought it might have been a giant puppet or
But
something.
I do like you said, there are times they continue to just be like, we're gonna take this thing,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make this thing, and then we're gonna have a feature-length
Ex-
documentary about how we did
Yeah.
that thing the way they used to do
It kind of had that.
But I think,
feeling.
like Ryan pointed out, that it's like a lot of that actually, I think, is that's a marketing investment.
Sure.
Being able to produce,
I'm sure
being
it'd be-
able to produce
yeah.
that mini doc and go out and talk about how we're doing it
sure
practically,
it'd be
we're
fun
doing it
as
for
hell to
real.
make,
This is all
too.
optical. This is in camera. Blah blah blah, and show that. That is a marketing piece because when you watch the final product, it's like all these things, even the ones that you have the model in frame.
Yeah.
It's still covered in CGI.
Yeah,
right. And
right.
Also,
covered
it's
in-
like
in
it's
rendering.
like the classic thing was the Mandalorian ship, right?
That's what. Yes.
Yeah. And it's like the way that looked. They could have made it look like that in CGI.
But
Well, they also
and my-
were like, we did that for one shot, and then the rest of the
Yeah.
series.
yeah, no, and it's cool, and
And
like
I think
watching those
yeah.
things is fun, and it's
Yeah.
cool to see how they used to do it, and it's a great relic. But
And this is what's brilliant. It's like you get to, first of all, you excite your filmmakers and you excite your designers and you get
Yeah.
to employ some people who are skilled tradesmen and craftspeople who don't have as many jobs, right?
Yeah.
It's like win across the board creatively.
Sure.
And the marketing team is like, we'll foot the bill for this in the one episode so that we can get all
Yeah.
this buzz around
Yeah.
how we're
Are
doing
you
it.
telling me that I can go and be working marketing for Lucasfilm and do cool stuff like that?
I'm telling you that
We're
I
hiring,
applied
Mike.
and did not get
all you have to do,
was gonna say
all you
that.
have to do with the practical models is convince Jon Favreau that he is creating a technology that has existed
And then you
for
got it.
60 years, and that he is somehow rescuing it from the depths of hell. And then he gets to play in his basement with Dave Filoni, and then we get a feature.
That
How do we
Iron
keep-
Man, though. I love that Iron Man.
How do we convince Jon Favreau that he created this podcast so that then he
That's
becomes
good.
a part of the show?
Ryan,
and get a little
it's
I'm
Ryan, it's
I'm
time-
getting some coins, man.
It's time to cash the coin,
You
baby.
gotta cash in the coin, baby.
So we see the spider, we see the battle, then we see a table full of Bosch, Amazon's Bosches, right? It's gotta be. I feel like that went from that was more of a toy character. That's how he kind of got his
Yeah.
lore, and now he's like everywhere. Is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's exactly. I was gonna say it's exactly what like George Lucas kind of like what he foresaw and knew, but I actually don't know. I think
think
there
he
is
did-
an element of like the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail
Yeah.
here, where it's like Lucas
He did-
was a genius when he said, "I'm retaining
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
But he, yeah.
Ancillary rights.
the rights to the characters for toy licensing rights and everything
Yeah.
for toys." So that's he obviously made a ton of money, but he was counting on the idea that I can license everything that's in this film
Yeah.
and get a bunch of money.
that didn't
And
work at all.
What's different though
Yeah.
is that afterwards he did that, and then those characters now
Yeah.
that existed more largely as toys
Yeah.
than as characters in the film. now are the ones that everybody wants to bring into the film and
Right.
give rich character history.
Yeah,
and everything.
exactly.
And it's like, what a fascinating
Well, it's at the
couldn't
time.
have foreseen that.
At the time too, when he would do like the cantina scenes and there'd just be like random creatures, he was kind of like mortified, and he was like,
Oh, yeah.
"This is gonna be awful because it's just a bunch of random garbage."
Yeah, there's like a vampire guy.
Because
and
he was
there's
like,
like
I wanted,
Yeah,
he
so-
didn't have the budget
Yeah,
to
and so
design
I'm
it.
sure when he watches this thing, he's like, "Oh, they're putting
Yeah,
those
I mean,
guys in."
the cantina scene like could have read like a scene from Plan 9 from Outer Space, where like
Right.
one dude's wearing like a knight's costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
He's
So
like-
there's the devil. He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
The devil one, legit always threw me. Even as a kid,
Yeah.
it did. It like took me out of that
Yeah,
momentarily.
but you
that
know what?
scene.
4 novels later, all of a sudden, it seems like it was supposed to be there the whole time.
yeah.
So we see that, and then what do we go into? I can't remember.
Just- wait, hold on. We don't have to go shot by shot because no one even has it up.
Why not?
No one has it up.
He's
got it up.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I just the reason I asked is because like I saw it, but
Yeah.
it was too
Yeah,
loud
give
for me
the
to
fans
hear.
You know
what
what
they
we
wanna
see? We see an Ithorian, and
Yeah.
my bet here is this is our buddy Doc Ondar from
Oh,
Galaxy Edge. I think he's
man.
getting
There
his
it is.
premiere moment.
Ah,
And it started
all right.
right on.
This
That's
is
synergy.
You
This
build,
is
really,
synergy.
you build
Yeah.
out the world more.
This
How does
is-
he get to Batu from here? I bet you we're going to find out.
This
That's
is
true.
this is starting to
We're gonna
make.
find out.
He's gonna
all
hop on
makes sense
something
now.
with Hondo.
Oh,
Hondo will knock on his way. But from there, then we just get a little bit of battle time. He's going to rule with respect.
I like the
Little
shields.
Challenge. Yeah, those shields are cool. But this is where we talked about Bosch and the other Trandashans that are there. But they're talking about how Jabba used to rule, and then it gets into I'm going to rule with the respect. And
If
then
you
we
spoke with such insolence to Jabba.
you'd
Do
be
you know
part of the
who-
menagerie.
Do you know who I hope we get to see again is the Rancor trainer. The Rancor
I hope so
trainer.
too. I'd like to
If
see
there's
him.
anyone who deserves his moment in the sun.
Yeah, come on.
I'd like to see him maybe with like a baby Rancor.
Yeah, or something
Oh,
like that.
that-
It's like he just loved his Rancor.
I
But
hope
Yeah.
we get some Figrin Dan in the modal nodes.
Oh, I could see that.
You know,
That'd
we
be
are
great.
going to get our good old friend, Finnick Shan.
Yep.
Yeah, of
Gonna
course.
Be back. Ming-Na Wen. I hope they give her more to do than just to be like the muscle for Boba Fett, but
sure, but
So
even
cool.
that's like a cool
That is
thing.
cool.
Even that
That's
is
cool.
that has the potential, you know, in the right hands, you know, and if she's able to like do a little more with it, that could be a really cool, new thing to see.
But I think that's the thing is that there's not really a whole lot to
No.
glean or tear apart in this trailer. If you wanted to go shot by shot, it's like, oh, cool. They used the Lucasfilm logo and they put a Boba Fett finish on the Lucasfilm logo. That's kind of cool. There's a shot of a cityscape of a new city, maybe in Tatooine, that we're not familiar with.
How
That's
big
cool
is this
too.
planet?
But there's not a
Will
whole
we
lot.
finally see Tashi Station?
Well, wouldn't it be
Oh
great?
my gosh. Yeah, who gets to cash that check?
My goodness, right?
Yeah.
We do see the Gamorrean guards, which I'm pleased to see that they're back to their larger forms versus the slimmed down version we saw in The Mandalorian.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
thankfully, they're eating well on Tatooine. Some Tusken Raiders, no surprise there. A couple of other creatures from throughout the galaxy, and then we kind of get to that battle at the end with the shields, and there's classic Tamura Morrison doing a little pile driver, and that's about it.
Yeah, he's doing his signature move.
That's,
Boba Fett's signature move, the pile
it was
driver.
always part of the toy.
Yeah.
Is that you would pull up his arms, and that's it would
Yeah.
fly back down.
He'd do the
what are
D
those
Generation X sign. And then
Are those shields kind of reminiscent of like the droid army
They
shields?
look a
Yeah,
little
a
bit
little bit.
like that.
That's cool. That's
Yep.
fun.
They're bringing it back.
and they were with the Trade Federation.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's just now a
And
mob.
that was all
But now it's like a
a
mob.
puppet of the Palpatine.
Right. But
Ooh.
made all these
A
crime
Palpatine puppet.
families. So I hope we see Conja Club. The Duquesne boys.
Yeah.
And what's the other
Don't
one?
forget about the Irving boys.
The Irving boys.
The
What's
Irving boys,
Duquesne
Duquesne.
Club? Yeah, Duquesne.
Brothers?
Duquesne.
Duquesne brothers? Duquesnes?
Irving
Just the
boys.
Duquesne or
They
something.
just say the boys twice?
I want to see.
I see.
I want to
Boys,
see
right.
the Gunray clan.
Yes.
Newt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In
yeah.
the back.
And what
I
happened?
don't think they're gonna bring those guys back.
You don't
I
think
don't-
they're gonna? I
I mean,
can't imagine why they
They
would.
kept it going in Clone Wars, though.
Who's?
They did.
It's
They
true.
did. They
and
did.
who's gonna be able to cast Jar Jar? Do you think Jar Jar's gonna be in the
Who's
Obi-Wan
gonna?
series?
And pardon, I don't mean. I'm not trying to gender this. Who's gonna have the cojones to put Jar Jar in
Do you think
Disney
he's gonna-
Plus
do you think-
material?
do you think
Take
he's gonna
Jar
be-
Jar. out of the jar.
Do you think he's gonna be in the Obi-Wan series?
Is he in
No.
the last season of Clone Wars?
Maybe. That'd
Is
be
he in the
great.
last season of Clone
Yeah,
Wars?
he's not.
He doesn't play a big. If he's in it, he doesn't play a big.
I just
part.
mean, like, has he already had a Disney Plus appearance?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No,
I'm sure
On
that
the
he's
game
like.
show,
He is
right?
not.
Well, that was just
Yeah.
Oh, that went
wasn't-
to
he
YouTube.
He was, but he wasn't Jar Jar.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah, that was just
Oh,
on
right.
the best.
Yeah.
So
Well, or he was he playing a character?
Yeah, it was a
Sam, they're
Jedi Master.
movies.
Sorry, what are you
I'm
saying?
serious though. Like, somewhat, I want to see who
I
gets
know.
to cash
That's
that
what I'm
check.
saying. That's like I'm gonna throw a coin down that I'll throw a Favreau coin down that he's on in the Obi-Wan series.
Chris, I'm going in on you with that.
Yeah,
Flashback
Yeah.
or current
current day.
day?
Yes.
Yeah,
they're
because
both-
we know that he's busking
Yeah.
and then
They're not
dies
gonna
alone in shame.
They're not going to take JJ.
No, that's
I mean,
not
maybe they
JJ's
will.
canon. That's the canon.
the extended
Oh, I
universe
thought they
canon.
The extended universe canon is that he's a street performer who dies in
But
shame.
Didn't
Yeah.
JJ have a part of that? Because wasn't that one of the extended universe books, or not extended universe book, but like a new canon book that JJ was like?
No, he always made jokes. All right, I remember.
I thought
Maybe
it
I don't
had
know.
something to do with it.
I don't know.
JJ's got to learn some manners.
Well, clearly they don't care what they're going to
Yeah.
do what JJ says because
Yeah.
they've been
Well,
writing
I
that.
think well, they're done with JJ.
No,
I don't
They are
know.
done with it. I just meant like they let
Yeah.
that movie come out,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they don't. They're
Yeah,
gonna
but I think
listen to it.
JJ's a little Warner Brothers boy now.
I don't
Yeah.
think I don't know that I don't know that Ahmed Best would do it.
Oh, interesting.
I think that Ahmed Best is happy to revisit Star Wars. I think he's
Sure.
embraced the history of like I played Jar Jar.
Sure.
The character
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
reviled. Now it's kind of had this beloved whatever. The fans like me. Everything. I don't think that they could sell him on like do it again. It'll work this time.
No, they'll just.
I don't
And
think
I-
they'll
I-
put him in the suit. I
they'll
think
pay someone else.
No, but I think if they're getting Hayden Christensen, I'm not saying that he should or he shouldn't. But what I'm saying is like they got Hayden Christensen back in the saddle. The fans have outwardly shown support for these people.
Yeah.
Or at least the nice fans. I think they could get Ahmed Best to do a voice.
But
If
what
they're
they
like,
got
listen,
him-
we're doing a serious thing here. Like it's
Yeah.
like.
Can you be?
I mean, look, he's not
But
going
they
to turn
got
down a
him.
paycheck. Probably, I wouldn't if I were him.
I mean, he appeared in another Star Wars property.
Oh,
It's
no,
like-
no, I just mean like
as like a Jedi ostensibly, right?
No, but I understand. But it's like it's not like he's completely like cutting himself
Yeah.
off from
Yeah.
that like part of his career. So it's like I
Who
think that
who
if
voiced Jar Jar on the Clone
I
Wars?
don't know.
I don't know.
Was it him?
Good question.
I don't
I'm gonna
I
look
don't
it up
think- I don't
because
think it was.
I don't think it was him, and I don't.
It
see
might have been him for a season, but,
But I
don't
think
think it was
who's
him
show
long
running
term.
Obi-Wan? Deborah Chow, right?
Deborah Chow.
So if Deborah Chow, I
Well,
think
she's a director. They don't say showrunner, but
gotcha. So she's helming all of the episodes. They said though, right? So like, if she went to Ahmed Best and was like, "Listen, we have like a real serious like storyline to do here, like with Jar Jar." I
Yeah.
think he'd do it. I mean, like I obviously I don't know the man.
I mean, I don't even know how you do a serious storyline with Jar Jar. Like you can't.
Well, I mean, he's in like in Attack of the Clones. He's pretty somber in that. It's not,
He's barely in it.
He's barely in
Because
it,
they
but-
took him out.
I mean, imagine him walking in the funeral line at
Yeah.
the end of Revenge of the Sith, and then just have him talk.
yeah.
yeah, because that's not going to feel out of place at a funeral.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is like it's like
He
Because
is
the
that,
entire like iteration of his language is meant to be funny
well, he's been
from the decision that they made and the way they made the film. I'm not saying.
well,
that-
but I it's also implying though that for something to be taken seriously, that it needs to be morose in some way. That what if Obi-Wan goes to see Jar Jar busking,
yeah. He sees him
and
on the
he's
street.
like,
He's
you know,
like,
it's
oh,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
his
yeah,
old
yeah.
friend.
No,
like
yeah,
why
Yeah,
not?
yeah. He's like, I recognize you. Wait a second, I know you.
Yeah, and
You
then
think-
we have
but
a
then we
a
don't
scene
feel
where
like-
like Misa has fallen on hard times, Master Obi,
yeah.
and then it's like, oh my
And then
god.
Obi-Wan's probably like,
Guys.
me too.
But then how do you feel about
Misa
Obi-Wan?
too.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about Obi-Wan if he doesn't then save him? Like we
Maybe
can't-
that's an episode.
that should
Maybe we
Guys,
don't
he did
know.
the voice for Clone Wars.
Did he?
for the whole thing.
I mean, I'm not going episode by episode. He's listed on the series from 08 to 2014 as Jar Jar Binks,
Okay.
clan member, the Goyan Master, Boss Leone,
Oh, he does a
Prisoner
bunch of
Number
voices.
2, Jar Jar,
Oh.
different than Jar Jar Binks evidently,
Oh.
and Defense Minister.
Oh,
So,
So
well, there you go.
There it is.
you know,
There it is. So,
so that
I'm going in with Chris. I think that
I
I think
think
Jar Jar
that
shows.
makes me think that he would be more likely to do it. Because I think when people, where I was coming from is like, I think there's something to be gained from saying, like, making peace with your past and saying, like, hey,
Sure.
this is a bad experience, I'm over it, I'm healed, I'm whatever. But also, like, that doesn't mean that the person is so okay with it that they're going to go back and do it again and go through it.
And maybe it's not him anymore either. No
for sure
discredit to his acting ability or anything or performance. It's just
it's got to be.
It's got to be him. He is the character.
It's gonna be him.
You can't recast Han Solo.
You heard
But
it.
have they made any effort to bring back into the canon something that was as divisive as Jar Jar? Meaning, like, from The Phantom Menace, they really are like, okay, we know people liked Obi-Wan and Ewan, so we'll bring that back. We know people like Hayden, even if there's a lot of people who didn't like Hayden.
Well,
they haven't really taken a risk.
People like Anakin. I don't think there was that. I think
there's a group of people fans who love Hayden.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
is there anyone who's? I mean, there's a group, but there's a group of fans that love Jar Jar. So it's like,
I know. I just feel like that's a bigger risk for them to bring back. Like Jar Jar was the thing that people used as that main focal point of this is not good.
I understand. Jar Jar. I think though that like, in my hope, they're. I'm hoping that like the Rise of Skywalker was just like the final check cash for those people, where it's like there are entire generations of people that like Jar Jar is not the thing that they quote as like this is what like where if you were like okay Jar Jar, there'd be people that are like what do you mean
why
why like is that a bad, do you think that's bad or whatever? So it's like I don't know. We've talked about this ad nauseum. They need to move forward, like with this like group of fans that grew up on these the prequels, that grew up on the animated series, that like love these characters so much. It's like people like I'm legitimately excited to see Hayden come back. That was not like in the grand fandom. That is not like a controversial choice. Although some people of certain age groups were like, "Whoa, I guess we'll see." But it's like for younger fans, that wasn't a controversial choice at all.
No, and I'm not saying that.
That was as exciting to them as saying that Luke Skywalker was coming back.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm more so just.
I saw a lot of people cry when Luke came back.
A lot of people on the internet crying.
I saw a lot of people cry.
You know, a lot of people crying when Hayden comes back.
Oh, I think they're going to set up their YouTube cameras. I think they're going to film their live reactions.
I think he's going to get a
cool
chance.
thing to do.
I'll tell you what, we haven't seen Hayden as Darth Vader in a lot longer than we hadn't seen Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. Yeah. I'll say that much.
I think
we saw Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker like 3 years ago. Everybody's crying about him coming back.
It wasn't
their Luke.
He wasn't even.
It wasn't
even him.
They knew.
It wasn't even him. It was CGI.
Wow. But I'm excited to see what Hayden can do with a little bit better direction.
Yeah.
And hopefully better writing.
I don't think he's a bad actor at all.
Glass was great.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad actor at all. And I think that he was doing what he was being asked to do in those movies, which was a very stylized kind of acting. That was completely part of an aesthetic that was George's intention.
You talking about Little Italy?
Yeah, I'm talking about Little Italy.
I don't think I've ever seen. I've only ever seen him in two. I've only ever seen him in two movies. I've only ever seen Hayden Christensen give two performances.
You never saw Jumper?
No.
Jumper's good.
Skip Jumper. Miss Shattered Glass.
I don't believe for a second that Chris thinks Jumper's good. I think Chris just
love it. Big jumper head over here.
Oh, well,
I saw Chris. Chris sent me a text the day he watched Jumper. He had a little selfie vid in there. He was crying.
He's back. Anakin's back.
Fun thing about Jumper, did you know that the whole movie was like a reshoot?
I have heard.
And it really does look. The whole movie was shot as the kids.
Oh, really?
Like the kids at the beginning, and then the studio was like, "This doesn't work," and then they were like, "Oh, I guess we should do like that should just be a flashback," and then they reshot the whole movie with Hayden Christensen and Rachel Bilson.
Yeah, it's wild,
crazy,
big fan,
horrible movie.
Well,
I gotta watch it.
It's crazy. It's like 80 minutes too.
It's one of those movies where you're like, oh,
it's one of those movies where you're like, is this a movie? And then it's over.
It's a Bud Light of movies. It goes down.
It's like watching a TV show.
Smooth.
I remember I watched it for free on one of those pay-per-view scramble channels. But
Chris, I think you might have been watching Humper.
Wait a second. Oh boy!
All three of us just react.
Wait a second.
We're all watching Jumper on TNT. Chris is scrambling channels to watch Humper at his house.
Wait a second.
Well,
Oh, boy.
scramble.
I do think we know what's on the docket for tonight. One of those two films.
There
Yeah,
we
I'm
go.
flipping between channel 58 and 60 to see if I can get some scrambled frames of Jumper.
Hey, it was the 90s.
Was it?
I don't know what that was.
2008.
It was 2008. Yeah,
2008.
you're right. You are right.
I think that's going to do it on that note. Guys, what a pleasure to be doing the pod back in person.
Always a pleasure.
I think, we've talked a big game about a lot of things coming on the pod. And
Yeah.
I think we're just going to walk that back and say, we'll see you when you see it here on
Wait,
the pod.
yeah, I do want to get to just my thoughts on the last few chapters of the book.
Oh,
Are
it's getting
Sorry,
late out for
cops
tomorrow.
are here. They heard my illegal cable scam.
Well, that will do it for the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. I do think, as we get to Book of Boba Fett, I want to do weekly episodes on Book of Boba Fett. That's going to be worth it. We're going to be in. We'll be in weekly.
Have we not been doing weekly episodes?
And you know what? I like it because it's a book you don't have to read. They're probably pulling a fast one on us there.
So that you're saying we won't have 5 chapters
Yeah,
left.
exactly.
Well, I did some reading over the holiday break.
All right, that is going to do it. Thank you for listening to the Droid You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. We'll catch you next week.
What they throw? Annie, I'm back, and Obi-Wan.
Misa busking on the street?
You boys want to go down to Moss Eisley Spaceport?